Hello everyone. So today we are going through lesson 13-1 starting on page 788. This is our last unit of our entire school year, and it is all about finding the different surface areas and volumes of different shapes. So the first thing we need to know is how to find the surface area of a cylinder. I'm going to let you know right now that there are a lot of equations that we are going to have to know. It says a contractor builds porch columns that are painted on all surfaces with a protective sealant. If the contractor has enough sealant to cover 150 square feet, can he seal all of the surfaces of one column? So I am given this circle here has a diameter of 2 feet. I'm also just going to write the radius, because I'm probably going to need that, of 1 foot, and then the entire piece of wood is 14 feet. So it says that you need to draw a cylinder. We don't really have to because here is our cylinder, but we do need to know that there's 3 different things we have to calculate for. There's a circle at the top, there's a circle, oh you can't see it, there's a circle at the bottom, and then there's all of this inside my container. So the first thing I need to do is let's just calculate for what the area of my circle is. So we know the equation for area is area equals pi times radius squared. So I can do area equals pi is 3.14 times my radius of 1 foot squared. And then 1 squared is 1, so then 3.14 times 1 is 1. So I'm left with the area is 3.14, but that is only for this surface area. I also have the surface area down here that is also 3.14. So I am going to plus a whole nother thing of that. So now I have my area of this top circle and the bottom circle. And then the last thing I need to do is figure out the area of my cylinder itself, so the outside of it. And the equation for that is area equals 2 pi r. So my equation for my circumference times my height. Hopefully that makes sense that I'm doing my circumference equation because I am trying to figure out what just the outside of that is all the way down. And then you multiply it by your height. So you're doing area equals 2 times 3.14 times my radius of the circle is 1 times my height of 14. I can type that entire thing in my calculator, 2 times 3.14 times 1 times 14, and that gives me 87.92. So now I found the surface area of my 2 circles and the outside of my cylinder. So I just add those together. So I do 3.14 plus 3.14 plus 87.92 plus 3.14 plus 3.14, and that gives me a final, oh man, I'm gonna have to redo that. 87.92 plus 3.14 plus 3.14, and that gives me a final answer of 94.2 feet squared. So the contractor has enough sealant to cover over 150 square feet. If the surface area is 94.2 square feet, he will have enough. Okay, so I want you to do the try it. It might help if you draw out what your thing is, but work on your try it. Okay, let's go over it. It says, what is the surface area of a cylinder with a height? Okay, first of all, I know it's a cylinder, so I'm just gonna draw to the best of my ability a cylinder. And it has a height of 9.4 inches and a radius, so from one point to the outside, of 2.5 inches. And a radius of 2.5 inches. So I'm going to use my equation for finding the surface area of a cylinder. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what my 2 circles are. So So I'm going to use my area of a circle. Area equals pi r squared. And my radius is 2.5. So I'm using area equals pi times 2.5. So then I'm going to do 3.14 times 2.5 squared. And that gives me 19.625. So then I get 19.625 is my area of one of my circles, but I have two circles. So I need to add that again for both my circles. And then I need to figure out the circumference of my circle and then multiply it by my height. So I'm going to do circumference equals, I think we use 2 pi r there, or you can use pi times diameter. 2 times 3.14 times my radius of 2.5 times my diameter, or times my height of 9.4. So I would get 2 times 3.14 times 2.5 times 9.4, which gives me 147.58. And then finally, I need to add my two circles and then the outside of my cylinder there. So then I would add up 19.625 plus 19.625 plus 147.58 all together. 19.625 plus 19.625. And I get a final answer of 186.83. And then it is inches squared. So there is my surface area. You also could have left it in the form of pi, and you would have gotten 60 pi. Okay, now let's move over to the next one. And example 2, we are finding the surface area of a cone. So just like we did last time, we need to start with whatever the surface area of my circle is. So you're going to use your area equals 3.14 times your radius of 1.5, sorry, squared. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 15 squared, and I get 7, sorry, let me put this in, or outside the parentheses. Oh, that's what I did. I did 15 again, times 1.5 squared. There we go. And I get my area is 7.065 inches squared. Now I need to figure out for this slant here. And to do that, you're going to use area equals pi times radius. And then you're going to multiply it by whatever your slant is. So here my slant is 6 inches. So times your slant. So I have area equals 3.14 times my radius of 1.5 times my slant of 6 inches. So I do 3.14 times 1.5 times 6, and I get the area there is 28.26 inches squared. So then to figure out my surface area, I add these together, and I do 7.065 plus 28.26, and I get a final answer of 35.325 inches squared. Well, I ran out of room there. Okay, and then last but not least, you're finding the surface area of a sphere. So in order to do this, the first thing I need to do is figure out the surface area of a cylinder. So I would start, and I would have the surface area of a cylinder is 2 pi r. Remember, we use whatever that circumference is. So 2 pi r times whatever my height is. For this, it gives me a height of 2r. I can still leave it like that, and I can multiply those together. So then I have a 2 and a 2. So then I can write that as 2 times 2 is 4. And then I have a pi, so 4 times pi times, I have 2 r's, so that would be r squared because I'm multiplying them, and r times r is equal to r squared. Then I can just put this together and I get 4 pi r squared. Then, once I have gotten whatever this equation is, I can then use whatever I have here for the Earth. So the Earth is 12 inches. I need to figure out my radius, which half of 12 is 6. So then I can plug in 4 times 3.14 times my radius of 6 squared. So I would do 4 times 3.14 times 6 squared, which gives me 452.16 inches squared. So there is my surface area. I would like you guys to do the try it. Okay, for A, it says, what is the surface area of a cone with a radius of 7 feet? I'm going to draw my cone. And I have a radius of 7 feet and a slant, so my slant here is 9 feet. And then it says use 22/7 for pi. I'm going to use 3.14, then I'm going to give you the answer. Actually, no, I'll use 22/7. So it says, what is the surface area of a cone? I need to first figure out what my area of this part of my cone is, of that circle. So I'm going to use my area equals pi r squared, the area of a circle. So you get area equals 3.14 times my radius of 7 squared. So 3.14 times 7 squared, which gives me 153.86. So I have 153.86 is whatever my area is of that circle. Then I need to figure out the area of my pointed part. And to do that, I am going to do area equals pi times radius times slant. So I get area equals 3.14 times 7 times my slant of 9. 3.14 times 7 times 9 gives me 197.82. So then I need to add both of my answers together. So I do 153.86 plus 197.82, and I get 153.86. And I get a final answer of 351.68. This is with using 3.14. If you used pi, you would have gotten 352, or if you used 22/7, sorry. And then for B, it says, what is the surface area of a sphere with a diameter of 2.7 inches? So I'm going to use my equation that I found up here. 4 times pi times radius squared. I know my diameter of my sphere, or the entire thing, is 2.7 inches. So I need to figure out what half of that is, and I get, 1.35. So my radius is 1.35. So then I'm plugging it in. 4 times 3.14 times my radius of 1.35 squared. 4 times 3.14 times my radius of 1.35 squared, and I get a final answer of 22.8906 inches squared. You could also put 22.89 inches squared. Okay, you guys are going to be answering. I have my answers behind here, so I'm going to pull it away. You're answering questions 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you're answering 4 through 8. And then once you are done, you are going to staple it and turn it into the tray. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and have a great rest of your day and a great spring break.